Hello, everybody. Welcome to Debt Free Degree with Dr. Roz. Y'all, I am so thrilled to introduce you to Kathleen Dreier. She is a dear, dear friend of mine. You all know during the midst of all that we're going through, we can make really deep, wonderful, lasting friendships with folks that we meet. Kathleen and I have not met IRL, as you all may say, but we are claiming that we're going to do that really, really soon. So you all have already seen that video about the 2022 Side Hustling Student Opportunity Scholarship. And so that just got me thinking about a series of interviews that I want to do. So I'm calling this Pontification with a Pro. And basically, I'm going to be asking these wonderful experts, these wonderful professionals, ways that you all as college students can leverage some of the skill set that you already have and some of the things you're learning, and also what to think about post-college. So welcome, Kathleen. I am so deeply grateful that you've said yes to this, and I'm so excited. So just before we dive into specifically those questions that I mentioned, will you please share with our community a little bit about you, how we can find you, the projects that you're excited about right now, all the ways that we can support you?
Oh, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here, Elizabeth. I'm really so grateful for this opportunity. So hello to everyone who is joining us today. My name is Kathleen Dreier. I'm based in Tucson, Arizona, where I've lived for the last 16 years. I am a freelance photographer. I do portraits. I do a lot of events. I also work on social related causes. And I have a previous background, a previous career, over 3 decades as a social worker. So it's my social work career that kind of informs the style of photography that I do. My style is much more documentary. I like to document what is authentically happening rather than manipulate the circumstances. So I do everything from weddings to multi-day corporate events, graduation photos, you name it. But what I also do in my available time is I work on what I call a social change photography series, and which evolved during the pandemic when I lost all of my work because of the pandemic. And so I'm addressing issues currently related to race, culture, ethnicity, diversity, equity, all of that. And it is essentially, I call it Voices of Race, and its purpose is to amplify the perspectives of BIPOC community members and being a call of action to all people, but particularly white communities, to be social change agents.
Wow. 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 Y'all, that is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I mean, honestly, just what little bit you shared is just so valuable to our community, and it is valuable to the world, Kathleen. And so thank you so much for all that you do to contribute to that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. As we mentioned, then what I want to do is dig in a little bit and take a deep dive into your photography. But I love what you said is that your 30-year career of social work informs your work. And that's what I want folks to hear me say is that the whole point of Debt Free Degree is we're looking at that triangle approach, and also ways to make money and ways to save money, specifically while you're earning that degree, so you can earn it debt free. And so this is not just a video to watch if you have photography skills. You know, this is something for you to think about. Okay, I want to go into business. I want to, you know, major in whatever, but I also want to have a side business in something. And so it's a way to marry a lot of different opportunities and different skill sets. So what advice would you give specifically to a current college student who has a skill set, some sort of desire to utilize the photography skills to make money while they're in college?
Sure, there's some very practical things. The bottom line, though, the foundation underneath all of it is having faith that there is a way, that just trusting that it is a process, and that if you stay the course and you stay determined and you simply trust that you will find a way and you keep experimenting about different ways to find a way, you will find the way. So
Can I
it
just
is.
stop you right there? If I could just stop you right there, because I want y'all to hear what she just said. That's exactly what I say that you have to do in terms of scholarships, in terms of getting into that college that you want, in terms of getting the score on the SAT that you want. All of that she just said is so critical. And that's one reason why we talk so much about mindfulness, why mindset is so important. And I didn't even ask her to say that. That's just something she said. So I want y'all to see that interconnected piece, that mindset and that mindfulness in one aspect helps you in all these different aspects. Okay, Kathleen, go ahead.
Exactly. And to tag on, to tag a little bit more onto that, it's not like that comes easy for me. You know, I'm a 61-year-old woman, and it's an ongoing process. It's a practice. To have a positive mindset is a practice, and it's ebbs and flows. There's ups and downs, and it's important to know who is kind of like your support network that helps build you up and move you into the direction that you want to go. So let's just talk about some practical things. Like how would you, if you have an interest in photography and you're in college and you have a busy schedule and you have tons of papers to write, like how do you make it work? So let me share with you, you just find a way. For example, when I was building up my photography business, I was a single mother. I worked a full-time job. I fit photography in whenever I could. It was sometimes in the evenings, sometimes on the weekends. So just whenever I could. So here are some practical things that any college student could do that is interested in it. You find ways to tap into it during your available time. So one way is to approach studios or photographers, going through, doing a Google search and finding local photographers that have a style, study their website. If it's a style that you appreciate, contact them and see if you can volunteer your time. So just begin by volunteering your time, and that possibly could turn into a part-time job. There is also, I've actually hired a college student to assist me with my Voices of Race project. The name of the program is, it's slipping my mind right now, but I'll find that for you, Elizabeth, and I will give that to you so that you could post it. But it is a national-wide program that the colleges tap into.
Excellent.
Where students can apply for jobs, and there is a section that's dedicated for community members like me, professionals like me who need help. And so we go through a process of being vetted, to verify, like I had to go through a process where I had to verify and be vetted that I'm an authentic business and things like that. And so I went through an interview process, and then I got to participate in a job fair, and my listing for an assistant is on an internal system through the college system where students can apply. And so I just had the specifics about what I was looking for and what my requirements were. So it was very simple. I was able to work with the student around his schedule. So he didn't have to fit into my schedule because I had tasks that I needed help with, outreach that I needed, that he could do when it was convenient for him. So that is one thing. I had another student who simply wanted to follow me around to become familiar with what is entailed in my particular business. And so he has been doing that and working towards a set number of hours that he needs to for one of his classes. Another thing that a college student could do is start with people that you know. Offer to take portraits of your friends, maybe offer to do a graduation session, and you may begin by just asking for a donation. Hey, I will take your portrait that you could use on your social media pages, or I'll film you for your TikTok account, and just make a donation to me. So in the beginning, when I started 16 years ago, I went around and just kind of put myself into positions to photograph
Mm.
And from there, people got to know my work. I posted my work, and from there, jobs came in. So these are all different examples of, there's different routes to get in the door. And these
Yes.
are just a handful of
Yes.
examples.
Yeah. That is so critical. And it's also so both freeing and overwhelming that there are all those different routes, so some students, some people, they say, I just want a methodical step 1, step 2, step 3, and as we know, life doesn't work that way, and so giving these different routes, it can be overwhelming, but also it's also, I think, encouraging that you can try it this way, this way, this way, this way, and then you see what works for you. As you mentioned before, it's not linear. When we talk about the journey from A to B, it's not going to be a straight line. It's going to be, several steps forward and a little step back, or you're going to hit a little, is that a speed bump or is that a stop sign?
Right.
We've talked
Right.
about that before. And so
Right.
what if students say, like I had a student who was actually, it was a student that I was talking to, and so she was talking about her friend, and it truly was her friend. It wasn't like she was talking about herself. It really was her friend. But her friend had graduated from a very prestigious art school with over $250,000 in debt. That seems insurmountable to me in terms of the art field, but hopefully that's an extreme, but what are your what might be some of the tips or things that you might ask students to consider as they're working towards a debt-free degree in photography, and for that matter in social work, to either lessen the time they're in college, or we talk about ways to make money in college and ways to save money in college, and so do you have some tips for them in terms of that?
In terms of how to make money?
Either how to make money or how to save money. So, looking back, are there certain courses that you might not have taken, that could short circuit the like, in other words, less than the time to graduate? Or like, what would you encourage them? What would you say to them to encourage them so that they can graduate as quickly as possible with little to no debt?
Oh, wow. I graduated from college a long time ago, right? Back in 82. So I recognize anything that I say right now may or may not be relevant to the current circumstances, because college was less expensive back then. Um, Now, recall during college, I always worked a job. So I've always worked a job. I applied for, back then, there was a lot more, I think, access to like federal aid. And I think there's still some of that too. And I applied for jobs on campus, and I always worked, I think, about 20 hours a week while doing everything else. And I still graduated. My studies were very important to me, and I still graduated with summa cum laude honors. So
Wow,
it was
outstanding.
a very concentrated time, right? And other people find other ways of doing it. That's just what worked for me. And so I also, back then, I qualified for a couple scholarships, so I got those too, work study. So there are a variety of ways to flesh out. And I think youth right now, you have access, the youth have access to so much. Their level of tapping in and utilizing and monetizing social media, they're
Yes.
light years ahead of me. So I
Yeah.
look to youth. I just consider anybody watching this is, you probably have access to a whole lot more keys that you already know that I'm just learning about,
Wow.
in terms
Yeah.
of crypto and, NFTs and like all of those sorts of things that my generation is like saying, oh, wow, they're on to
Yeah.
something, right? So
Exactly.
trust that you have some knowledge. And just like what you said, Elizabeth, it isn't linear. It is an
Right.
evolutionary process. It is
Yes.
an experimental process. And I think one of the things that has helped me navigate all this uncertainty is the willingness to approach things with curiosity and the willingness
Yeah.
to try. Just the willingness to try and the willingness to be humble enough to ask for help. Like, who are people that have an expertise that I don't currently have? Like right now, I have a friend who knows a lot about the crypto world. So
Yes.
I have been tapping into his knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, I have other people who know a lot more about TikTok because I have like far more ideas than what I have time to execute about like what I could do with TikTok and how that
Right.
possibly could lend itself to some sort of money making opportunity.
Right. Wow. Wow. That's incredible.
So
That's incredible.
I hope that gives some
Yeah,
ideas.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And actually, you also inadvertently also reinforce another point that I often make to my students, because I think mindset is so important, and listening to the messages around us. And just because it's always been done that way doesn't mean it has to be done that way. And there is this a little bit of a message to college students that, number one, you have to graduate with a lot of debt, that's just kind of the way you do it, that it's hard to, that it's almost impossible to do it without, which is myth number one. Myth number two is that that going to college is so time consuming and overwhelming that you can't possibly work full time. And for a lot of students, for a lot of different reasons, that is the case. However, this Patreon is all about debt-free degree. And one way to do that is to maximize working part-time or full-time. And 40 hours a week, which is a typical amount of working full-time, often will give you lots of different benefits. 40 hours is 22% of your week. You've still got 78% of your week, even if you've given 40 hours to an employer. And oftentimes during working hours, if there's a bit of a break, maybe you can study and that kind of thing. And so it's just really important to have that mindset from the beginning. But I love what you said about intentionality, but also curiosity, and then faith. I think that's amazing. Well, y'all, I really deeply appreciate Kathleen being here, and I'm going to post the link to all the different ways you can follow her on social media, and also get that link for those of you that may be interested, because it's a nationwide program, for you to go in and put in your information. So so you all will see that in the comments of this video. And Kathleen, just once again, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. And I just want to extend to any student watching this, you certainly have my permission. You'll have my contact information, my website, my social media links. I welcome anybody. You could call, text me.
Wow.
I'm really, I make myself available to people. And I work hard and I'm pretty accessible almost every day of the week. And so I'm happy to share what I know. I never claim to know it all, but I'm willing to share what my learning process has been and try to assist. My intention is always to assist in pointing in the right direction. So.
Wow, what a gift. What a gift. I hope you all take her up on that, because that's amazing. Kathleen, once again, thank you so much for being here and being a part of Debt Free Degree with Dr. Roz. And I look forward to talking to you again really, really soon. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.